Happy Wednesday, happy hump day, party people. So much to get to today. La Liga restart dates could be official as soon as tomorrow. We jet over to Madrid to get the latest from Iñaki Angulo on that, plus Casemiro's contract extension. Then Lionel Messi speaks about playing in front of no fans and how he's preparing mentally. Thomas Rongan and George Metellus weigh in on that. Plus, PSG have identified a new name on their managerial wish list. We reveal who that is. Hint, hint, River Plate fans, you may want to start crying. And Lionel Messi, CR7 and Griezmann are all revealing new looks. We rate them. Plus, on this day, Barcelona sealed their first treble against Manchester United. But was that the best team ever? We debate. Sports First starts now. Hello again. This is a reminder to join the conversation and comment below, and we'll get to your questions, comments, and concerns throughout the show. Let's welcome in George Metellus and Thomas Rongan to the Fiesta. Hello to you both. Thomas looking sharp as always. George matching your hat. Absolutely love it. I want to begin with the breaking news out of Paris. A new name on PSG's managerial wish list, Marcelo Gallardo. What is your initial reaction to this news? George, we'll begin with you.
Well, I don't like it. I love it. I think it's a great idea. I think Marcelo Gallardo has proven almost everything. I know he hasn't won a league title in Argentina, but he's won multiple trophies in terms of Libertadores and Sudamericana with River Plate. So I think it's time for him to move on. I thought that he would be the Argentina national team coach, but that quite hasn't worked out, and it appears that they're very happy with Lionel Scaloni. But he has played in France before, so he has some familiarity with that league and how things operate over there. I think it would be a great move, and I'd love to see him as the bench boss.
You are absolutely right, George. He played for both Monaco and PSG, won a title with Monaco, didn't win a title with PSG, but did win the Coupe de la Ligue back in the 2007-2008 season. Thomas, your initial reaction to the news?
Well, it's intriguing for several reasons. I remember when he first came over to Ligue 1 and set that league on fire when he played for Monaco. And I even remember the win, the 2-1 win against PSG, I think it was in 2002, where he was absolutely magic, and then ended up going to PSG. The doll, as they call him, has done everything he could at River, continue to reinvent himself. And if I look at a coach, can you work with the group of players that you have? River played just like Boca, and by the way, they beat Boca in some big games with Gallardo at the helm. Loses a lot of players due to the interest in Europe. And each and every year, he was able to tactically maneuver his team to put them, and that's what a coach does, to put them in a position to be successful. It doesn't surprise me there is interest. I think that Tuchel will stay, and obviously, the Champions League has a big factor in that, where they are favorites, in my opinion, with 2 or 3 other teams, including Bayern Munich and Manchester City. But I think that Monaco might be a better destination for him, the way he's right now building teams, young teams. PSG with big personalities is just a different kettle of wax, and I think the transition for him should be like a player. Start small and then go big. Could it be Monaco and then PSG? That's what I would recommend to Gallardo if I was his agent.
Fascinating perspective, Thomas, because our comment section agrees with you spot on. They do say that Juben Karama saying Gallardo is a better coach than Thomas Tuchel, but they say that perhaps Marcelo Gallardo coaching the likes of Neymar, Mbappe, these big names, these big personalities, won't necessarily be the right fit right off at the get-go. Would you agree, George?
No, I disagree. I think that he has the temperament. He's a former player. And look, no disrespect to PSG, but if you can survive multiple years as River Plate manager, you'll be just fine managing the people at PSG. Okay? There are very few clubs in the world that have the pressure cooker. That is the pressure cooker of River Plate and Boca Juniors. Those are 2 of the most intense, the hottest seats in all of world football. And PSG is a hot seat, we know that, but it's not nearly as hot as being the manager of River Plate and Boca. I actually think it's very good training for him to be the River Plate manager and then move over to PSG. The players will respect him, and when they realize tactically how he wants to play, they'll fall in line as well, and I think they could be very successful. I'm a big fan of Gallardo.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are huge fans. I mean, he was heavily linked with the Barcelona job, although that was probably very unlikely. But this is a man who is very highly regarded in Europe. Lorena Rivas, completely agreeing with you, George. If someone can handle all the PSG egos, it is Gallardo. He would definitely do well on that level. Well, we'll see how this transfer continues to grow and change, because I'm sure it's just beginning. Another big piece of news today on the cover of Marca was Casemiro's contract extension. He's now locked in at the Santiago Bernabeu until 2023. The man who's played 229 matches for Real Madrid, 14 titles won. This isn't a real surprise, but there was no announcement. Real Madrid opting not to announce contract extensions anymore. Hopefully we'll get Iñaki on the line to discuss that further. But this contract extension really isn't a surprise, is it, Thomas?
No, it's not. And you could put Casemiro in the last 2 years, maybe even longer. He came over from Sao Paulo in 2013, and slowly over time, under Zidane in particular, who's given him the confidence, he's grown into one of the top 3 important players for this club, Real Madrid. One of the reasons being is there's no really depth in that position. So Casemiro, plays a lot of games, is vital in transition, locking down the opponent's, number 10s, so to speak, doubling down on Messi when he starts coming at you. His spatial awareness as a defensive midfielder without the ball is so good. He's a decent passer where he can play Kroos, Modric, Isco further up the field. Plays vertically out of that position. So as a holding midfielder, he can still do the dirty work, as we see in the old days as a number 6, tackle and win balls and play simple. But now he's also being able to become more of a box-to-box player for Madrid. So important, and a rightful signing by Zidane to say, hey, we reward you to 2023.
Absolutely. And it's like Iñaki heard us talking about Casemiro, because he is ready for us. George, I'm going to get your take in just a couple of minutes. But let's head over to the Spanish capital and touch base with Iñaki Angulo, who I believe is outside of the Real Madrid training facilities, if I'm not mistaken. How are you, Iñaki? How's everything going?
Hi, Gabby. Okay, yeah, correct. I'm outside Real Madrid's training facility. It's a very sunny day here in Madrid. And yeah, I was listening to your comments on Casemiro, and I think it's a very deserved contract extension, because I think he's arguably the best in his position in the world, and he's a true leader in Real Madrid. He's not only the great player you see in every game, he's also a leader who's mentoring young players like Vinicius, like Rodrigo. He's the leader, one of the leaders of this team, and he's kind of the connection between the Real Madrid, which is in the past the Real Madrid which won 3 Champions Leagues in a row, and the Champions League that is gradually emerging with these rising stars like Fede Valverde, like Vinicius, like Odegaard, who will join Real Madrid anytime soon. And I think that Casemiro might be Real Madrid's captain in some years. And yeah, I think if one contract extension is well-deserved, it's Casemiro's, in my opinion.
And I think you're spot on. On this Marca cover that everyone is taking a look at now, it also highlights the fact that Real Madrid are not going to announce contract extensions anymore. Is there a reason why this is the case? Because it is exciting news and should be announced, but they've chosen not to announce it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Gabby, I'm yet to make an opinion in this topic, but I think that they want to keep it in secret because it might have implications in other players, but I don't think they are going to keep it in the dark inside the locker room, so everybody is going to know the situation. But I mean, the clubs, the opponent clubs, won't know about Real Madrid's player situation, and they won't flirt with them when his contract ending is approaching. So I'm sure there's a strategy behind us that is not necessary to keep information outside from the fans and from the media. I'm quite sure that the guys in this headquarters gave it a thought, and they thought this is the best for Real Madrid's interest, so they are going to keep it this way. I love how you guys do it in the United States, where the contracts in the NFL, in the NBA, they are public. You know, the contract extension, you know, the guaranteed money, you know, the franchise tag, everything. I love that, but I can't understand that if there's no an obligation for the clubs to make it public, you are going to try to take that in your advantage, and this might create a new trend in world football. And I mean, we'll see what happens, but I'm sure that Real Madrid measured every implication of this decision.
You're absolutely right. And as we look ahead to a La Liga restart date, we are hearing that we could get confirmation of June 11th being the restart date as soon as tomorrow when La Liga meets. Do you have any details about this?
I mean, they're trying to find the best spot for everybody, because the clubs and the physical staff of the teams, the coaches, they are almost begging for more training time, because they need more training. They've been practicing for 2.5 weeks in facilities like this, like Real Madrid's one, but they feel they might be short of preparations. The conditions are not going to be the best. I mean, this won't be a normal preseason. They won't have a friendly test that they usually have, so they are trying to get some more breathing room, get a couple of days more of practicing. But La Liga, they are trying to start this as soon as possible. I mean, I'm on the player side, if you ask, because I don't think it's going to be good to rush things. For example, today, 3 players missed Real Madrid practice, and Nacho, Isco and Fede Valverde, due to muscular issues. It's going to be a trend in the Bundesliga. The injury ratio is higher than in a normal season, and I think the clubs need time. We've been waiting for football for a long time. We are looking forward to watching football again, but I don't think 4 or 5 days is going to make a huge difference for the fans and for La Liga, and might be the difference, might be the days the clubs need.
And that is the debate, but it does appear that Javier Tebas wants the restart date to be June 11th, and so that is what we are expecting to hear. But again, nothing confirmed. Do you have an update on playing on Mondays and Fridays? The RFEF put out a statement today saying La Liga can play games on Fridays and Mondays for the rest of the season, asking for nothing in exchange, and that this could extend to beyond this season if games are played behind closed doors at the beginning of next season as well. This is good news, because this confirms that La Liga can do their 35 days straight of action, which makes us all smile.
Yeah, I mean, this Monday and Friday football is a battle between La Liga and the Spanish Federation. I understand the Spanish Federation position, because they are trying to protect the fans who actually go to the stadium in a normal world of football. But I think that they need to set an agreement in this particular case for this COVID football, because La Liga needs fixtures, they need playing dates, and adding Mondays and Fridays might make the difference. I know the federation is not going to let this go further, that when the public would be allowed to be back in the stadiums, they will fight against football on Mondays, and especially on Mondays, because in my opinion, I think Friday is a great day for football, but Monday is a bad day for people, because they have to work the day after. They are battling that, and I think they might reach to an agreement in this specific case.
Yeah, they definitely have reached an agreement, so Mondays and Fridays are officially on. And last but not least, Gareth Bale has spoken, and he's responded to the golf haters yet again, saying that he still doesn't understand what the problem is, even bringing up Steph Curry, who he says plays golf on game days, and Bale gets heat for playing golf 2 days before. This is just the latest chapter in Bale and Golfgate. But how is Madrid responding to this latest Gareth Bale interview?
I mean, Gabby, I don't know how Madrid is responding. I'm going to respond myself. And I'm a golf player, and I understand Bale's point, because it's not only Stephen Curry. We've been watching the last on TV about Michael Jordan, and the only doubt in Michael Jordan's life when he was a player was if he was going to play 18 or 36 holes. I don't think golf is a problem. There are a lot of controversy here around golf, not only with Gareth Bale, but I get Gareth Bale's point. He played golf when he became one of the top 5-10 players in the world a few years ago, and I don't think that that's an issue, but I mean, I'm in Gareth Bale's boat in this
okay, I'm gonna have
golf
to cut
thing,
Iñaki off because he is breaking up a bit. But Iñaki doesn't see a problem with Bale playing golf, and we don't either. Let's bring Thomas and George back into the show. You just heard the latest from Iñaki on Gareth Bale Golfgate. He brings up the fact that Steph Curry plays on game days. What the heck's the problem with Bale playing 2 days before game day? Are you guys over this whole golf situation? George, we'll begin with you.
Yeah, I'm over this. I'm tired of hearing about Bale and how the Real Madrid fans don't love him or whatever. Look, they do not like him because he plays golf before game day. That comparison to Steph Curry is ridiculous, okay? They don't like him because the man has had a lot of injuries that's caused him to miss some time, even though he scored big goals in big games. There's a perception that he doesn't speak Spanish. When I saw the Clásico, I saw some of the things he was saying to the referees and the players. He speaks Spanish. There's a attitude and an air about Gareth Bale and especially when it comes to the injuries that makes him not likable toward Real Madrid fans. I think he's a likable person. He hasn't done anything wrong or anything immoral, but it just isn't clicking between him and the fans. And I think the majority of it is because of injury issues, because he scored in big games for Real Madrid. For him to use the golf as an excuse as to why the Real Madrid fans don't like him, that's pretty lame. I think he needs to just be quiet, focus on playing golf and getting in shape for football, and then go on the pitch and make it happen.
It's the saga that never ends, and we're going to move along from it. Lionel Messi spoke to Adidas and said, on a group level, the preparation will be the same as for any other game. He's speaking about getting ready for this second half restart of the season. But individually, having to prepare and get ready mentally to play without fans is a little bit strange. Now, so we're seeing players react to how they're supposed to get ready to play in front of empty stadiums. This after Dortmund lose yesterday in a match that could have ultimately decided the Bundesliga title. Where we see home field advantage simply isn't what it once was. Thomas, as a coach, how do you get players ready to play in front of no fans?
I mean, it's very interesting, obviously, that we've seen certain trends in the Bundesliga. I mean, you're looking at the biggest game of the year yesterday, their Klassiker, that normally brings 80,000 people, 25,000 standing only behind a goal, the biggest in Europe, that support Borussia Dortmund. Now, Bayern's a great team, but I'm telling you, there's a huge difference. I must say the game is pure, more technical, and as strangely as it sounds, this will benefit a Messi, because we've seen right now, home field advantage doesn't matter. There's less tackles in the game. There's less cards in the game. As I said again, it's more technical and more pure. And that's when the great players like Messi that rely on, and is getting fouled probably more than any other player, this might be the time we can see even a better Messi than we've seen before. Will it be strange? Absolutely. But I think the Bundesliga games have shown that the quality can be as good. I like the artificial crowd noise, quite frankly, you know. Come on, get that fader going. So I think it will benefit actually technical teams like Barcelona over other teams, and might allow us to really, really hone in to Messi's skill set instead of being distracted sometimes by the crowd noise, by the whistling, by simulation, all the things that we haven't seen in the Bundesliga that we normally see when a crowd is available. But they will be sorely missed, and we can't wait till the day when crowds return again, which some people might say might not happen till 2021. So get used to the new normal and enjoy, as I said again, the games as much as possible. I can't get away from my phone during a game normally because the crowd noise tells me, you know, something is going on in the game. Now I can't because I have to focus since there is no crowd noise telling me what's happening. Interesting part too, the referees are very much influenced by home fans. And all of a sudden you see less yellow cards for the away team, less red cards for the away team, more penalties for the away team, and more extra time actually, which normally is given to the home team as well. So very interesting to see how this happens, but the greats like Messi will flourish, in my opinion, in this environment.
Before I send it over to you, George, I want to add a different facet to the conversation. You know, we say maybe home field advantage is dead, but in a way, there has to be some kind of comfort to be in your own dressing room, to be sitting on your own bench, to be in your own tunnel. No one knows the pitch like you do at your home stadium. So there has to be some type of comfort to still playing at home, even if the fans are no longer adding a layer to the match. George.
Yeah, I agree. There definitely is that layer of that comfortability, that familiarity with the pitch, with the stadium, certainly helps. But I think one thing we have to counter that point a little bit, you got to remember, especially in league play, that every year these teams travel to opposition stadiums, so they're used to the opposition locker rooms and how they're built and how they're set up. So they have a way of adapting to that. I think the home fans, 80,000 people at Signal Iduna Park, is a lot more intimidating for Bayern Munich, although Bayern Munich really doesn't get intimidated. But it's a factor that they have to overcome that they didn't have to overcome when the stadium was empty. And watching the match, I wonder if the fans in the stadium, if they were there, if Dortmund wouldn't have won that game, because Dortmund certainly had their chances. They were on top of Bayern for spells in that game as well. Bayern weren't dominating Dortmund in that game. They were the better team. A great goal by Kimmich, but in the end, I wonder if the fans would have been enough to drive Dortmund to the victory in that game. But to Thomas's point real quickly, I never thought of it that way, especially when you consider the cards and the penalties and things like that. I didn't like the crowd noise pumped in, but then as the game went on, I was like, as long as they do it the right way, and you have to give the Bundesliga credit. When Bayern was on the ball, you heard whistles. When Dortmund had a substitution, there was a little bit of a lull. So they did that very well.
Absolutely. And George, you bring
Maybe
up
one point, George, real quick.
Go ahead.
If there are fans, all right, the fans will will VAR into looking at the handball against Boateng, which, by the way, is 100% handball. When Haaland scores there and it's behind or in front of the yellow wall, 25,000 people will go up and will force the referee, because fans can influence, home fans can influence referees. I bet they'll go to VAR and will give Dortmund the penalty, which they didn't get. They didn't even go to VAR and let play continue.
You are spot on, Thomas. You read my mind. That's exactly where I was going before we moved on to our next topic. I think that yellow wall would have made sure that VAR checked that penalty that shoulda, coulda, woulda been. But we'll move on. Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Griezmann, all sporting new looks, and I want to get you guys' take on this. We'll begin with Cristiano Ronaldo, who seems to be going back in time to his Manchester United hair days, where he's sporting a longer look to the side. He's let down that Juventus man bun, and he's let it down. I'm sure both of you have seen this picture all over the internet. Your thoughts, George?
Did One Direction get a new bandmate? Because that's what it looks like to me. He looks like he's part of a boy band now. You know, is that the hot group, the One Direction, Jonas Brothers? I'm sorry, I'm old school. I'm New Edition and all that. But that's what he looked like to me. He looked like he's a member of a boy band.
Yeah, I'm also not a fan. Thomas, your take on this new do?
Yeah, let the locks roam free. Here you go, baby. Let it
Okay.
go. Yeah, there you go.
So Thomas is team Cristiano Ronaldo.
Is this the Ronaldo look?
Yeah, so close.
Yeah,
so
that's
far,
right. Just
Thomas.
let it roam, baby. Let it roam.
Let's show the Lionel Messi one. Lionel Messi has decided to go clean-shaven, and he's also letting his locks grow a little bit longer. It appears he's going back to when he first started playing. I will say he looks way younger without the beard and with his hair a little bit longer. George, your thoughts?
Good for him. I like the beardless Messi. You know, I like that. You know, just because the fashion or the style is to grow a beard, don't mean you have to grow a beard. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this right here, you know, look who's speaking, right? But I like that young Messi. It reminds me of when he was coming up and how great he was. He's still great, but it takes me back to a time where he was just, he set the world on fire back then. So yeah, keep the baby face, man. I'm sure Thomas, as long as Antonella likes it, that's the most important thing.
That's true. And Thomas, you've decided to go clean shaven also, so you're taking a page out of Messi's book, or vice versa?
No, I'm taking a page out of Messi's book, without a doubt. And as George said, it looks good on him. The babyface assassin. We called that to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And he might get faster. We all know that swimmers try to get themselves in a position where they can shave off 1/100th of a second in order to win a race. Messi might actually get quicker by players. And based on the video we saw yesterday, when he took on his whole team in practice, this is not just a good look, but a more improved Messi maybe even, if that's even possible. So well done, Lionel.
It does seem like the impossible. And we will leave you guys with Antoine Griezmann and his breed, which I find completely appalling. I'm so confused. George and Thomas, you each get a word to describe this. George, your word?
One word?
One word.
Greasy being greasy.
Oh, no, I don't like that word. Thomas, your word.
3. Sorry.
Thomas, your word?
Pathetic.
Pathetic.
Just the way he plays.
Oh, boy. And on that note, we're going to say goodbye. Sports First PM at 7. See you then.